Hi everyone, in this lesson we are gonna learn about ratios. What is ratio? Ratio, let's write the definition of it. Ratio is a comparison of two number by division. Well, that's true, but it's also a little bit confusing for some of you. It's confusing because most of us think that comparing numbers is trying to decide which one is greater than, less than, or equal to another number. Instead, we are really trying to see how two numbers related to each other. I would like to think of ratios as a relationship between two numbers by division. Let's write this one also. Ratio is a relationship between two numbers by division. But how do you compare or show two numbers are related by division? Let's see an example. For example, 1 over 2. Some of you may think that this is a fraction. You're right, this is a fraction. Well, mathematically ratios and fractions are basically the same thing while we consider the representation. When we use a fraction in a particular way, we can call it a ratio. We can write a ratio as a fraction. The difference how we use them to describe things in the real world. To see what I mean, let's look at examples of how we could use the fraction of 1 over 2 and the ratio of 1 to 2. Mathematically, they are the same thing as you see. They are just a division problem, 1 divided by 2. But in the case of the fraction, we usually treat it as if just a single number. For example, at the lunchtime, you might eat one pizza or a half of a pizza. We can use the fraction 1 over 2 just like we use 1 or 2 to show how many pizzas you eat. In the case of 1 over 2, we know that this is only a part of a pizza, just a fraction of 1. Now let's see how we can use the ratio 1 over 2. With the ratio, we don't treat it as if it's just a single number. Instead, we pay close attention to the top and the bottom numbers because we use them to refer to the different things. Again, for example, at the lunchtime, suppose for every two people, this is first person, this is second, for every two people at the lunch, you are only bringing one pizza. In that case, we would say that the ratio of pizzas to people is 1 to 2 or 1 pizza per 2 people. This shows the pizza and this shows the persons. Do you see the difference between fraction and ratio? The math part of each is the same, but with the fraction, both the top and the bottom numbers are referring to the same thing, pizza. Again, however, with the ratio, the top and the bottom numbers are referring to the different things, pizza and person. The fraction shows a part of a something, but the ratio shows a relationship or a comparison between two different things. And you can see that they're mathematically the same thing, because if you have the ratio of 1 pizza per 2 people at lunch, guess how much of pizza each person would get? Yes, a half of a pizza. Since they are used differently in math, sometimes they are also shown differently. Instead of seeing this standard division form, a ratio might be represented with different symbols. Let's see the representation of the ratios. We can write the ratio like this, or this means that 1 to 2, also 1 per 2. Again, we can write it as a fraction, or we can write it like this. Let's see an example. For example, in this picture, you could say the ratio of oranges to apples is 6 to 9. There are 6 oranges and 9 apples. For every 6 oranges, there are 9 apples. Let's write the other representations. Oranges to apples, like this, and we can write it like, there's 6 like this, or we can write it like this. Did you notice something else? This is a fraction, right? Yes, this is a fraction when we consider the representation. Then I am wondering that, can we simplify it? Remember, if we want to simplify a fraction, we have to divide both top number and the bottom number by the same number. Let's pass to another page and see how we can simplify it. Let's write the fraction again. I am writing it. 6 oranges and 9 apples. This is a fraction, as we consider the representation. Let's find a number to simplify it. What is the biggest number that can divide both 6 and 9? Let's think a little bit. And you can stop the video and you can think a little bit. Yes, 3. We can divide both numerator and the denominator by 3. Let's divide 6 by 3 and we get 2. And then let's divide 9 by 3 and we get 2. What does it mean? This is a ratio, right? We can write it like that. 2 to 3. Or we can write it like that. Or we can write it like that. Well, okay. Remember that. What did the numerator represent? Oranges, right? This represents the oranges and this represents the apples. Apples, okay. Again, let's go back to the picture and see what I mean. There are two oranges for every 3 apples, right? For every 3 apples, there are 2 oranges. as you can see in the picture.